Okay, get ready, because today we're going to be looking at why women cheat.
Oh, interesting.
It's a sensitive topic, but I
Yeah,
think it's something that we've all kind of wondered about at some point.
definitely.
So, the source material for this deep dive is this online article called Why Women Cheat: Understanding Infidelity and Prevention.
Okay.
And it's a little bit clickbaity.
Hmm.
It's very much kind of like geared towards men.
Right.
But we're going to see if we can sift through all that and see if there's any real insights about relationships, regardless of gender.
Yeah, I think that's a great approach.
So are you ready to kind of unpack this and see what we can learn?
Absolutely. Let's dive in.
Okay, so the article jumps right into it and says that women cheat when their emotional and psychological needs aren't met.
Okay.
And they even go on to give like three main reasons.
Right.
They say emotional unfulfillment,
Okay.
craving excitement,
Uh-huh.
and lack of respect.
Hmm.
And I don't know about you, but that just strikes me as being overly simplistic.
Yeah, those are very broad categories.
Yeah.
But I think the underlying idea is that unmet needs can lead to problems in any relationship. And I think that that part is pretty accurate.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Healthy relationships are really all about mutual understanding, right? Meeting each other's needs, no
Totally.
matter who's involved.
So it's less about gender-specific reasons and more about just kind of the dynamics of any relationship.
Exactly.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
So the article also gives the example of a woman feeling unheard or unappreciated and how that can lead to emotional unfulfillment.
Right.
Have you seen that in your work?
All the time.
Really?
It's a very common theme, and it makes sense.
Yeah.
If you think about it, like feeling heard and understood by your partner,
Yeah.
that's a fundamental human need.
It really is.
And when that need isn't met, people naturally look for that validation and connection elsewhere.
Right. It's like you go searching for it somewhere else.
Yeah, exactly.
Which can sometimes lead to,
Trouble.
damaging the relationship.
Yeah, for sure.
It's funny because the article frames it as if cheating, you can prevent it if you just keep a woman emotionally invested, which sounds a little bit manipulative, like almost like a game or something.
Yeah, it's definitely coming from a place of like trying to control the situation.
Yeah.
But what if we kind of changed our perspective? Like
Yeah.
instead of trying to prevent something negative, what if we focused on building a relationship where both people feel fulfilled and excited to be together?
I really like that.
I think that would be much more positive.
Yeah, and empowering.
Absolutely.
So what would that actually look like in a real relationship?
So this reminds me of the work of John Gottman,
Okay.
who's a psychologist who's studied relationships for years and years.
Yeah.
And he talks about these bids for connection,
Okay.
which are these little moments throughout the day where we're reaching out to our partner
Okay.
for attention, affection, support, and responding to those bids in a positive way
Yeah,
really builds intimacy over time.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Actually, that reminds me of something I was reading about attachment theory.
Oh, tell me more.
I was reading that, how our early childhood experiences can shape our relationships as adults?
For sure.
And it was saying that if you had caregivers who were really responsive to your needs,
Yeah.
you're more likely to feel secure and trusting in your romantic relationships later on in life.
That makes a lot of sense.
It's fascinating, right?
Yeah, our past experiences definitely play a role
They do.
in how we relate to other people.
So, like, what does that mean for people who maybe didn't have the most supportive childhood?
Right?
Like, can they still learn to build healthy relationships?
Absolutely.
Okay, good.
The good news is that attachment styles aren't set in stone.
Okay.
Like with effort and awareness, we can definitely learn to develop more secure ways of relating to our partners.
So you're saying it's possible?
Definitely.
Okay, good.
It often involves working through past hurts, challenging those negative beliefs about
Yeah.
relationships. Yeah.
And consciously practicing new patterns of communication
Yeah, I see.
and behavior.
So the article then moves on to talk about this whole craving, excitement, and adventure thing. And it basically argues that if a relationship is too predictable, some women might start looking for excitement in other places.
Oh, okay.
And that's where I get a little bit skeptical.
Yeah.
Is it really just about avoiding boredom, or is there something more to it?
I think there's definitely more to it.
Okay.
I mean, novelty and excitement can be important,
Sure.
but I think framing it as just avoiding boredom kind of misses this key point.
What's that?
Growth.
Hmm.
Relationships should be about growing together,
Okay.
exploring, discovering.
Right.
So it's not about keeping someone from straying. It's about creating an environment where both partners feel inspired and energized to grow and evolve together.
So instead of just trying to like keep things spicy to prevent someone from getting bored,
Right.
it's more about building a relationship where you're both fulfilled
Exactly.
and engaged. It's about that journey together.
It's about the journey.
Yeah.
Okay, so give me an example. Like, what would that look like?
So think about it like the beginning of a relationship.
Okay.
There's all this natural excitement.
Yeah, everything's new.
Exactly, because everything's new.
Right.
But over time, that can fade if you don't actively nurture it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And that's where this idea of shared growth comes in.
Okay.
It's about continuing to learn and explore,
Okay.
both as individuals and as a couple.
So it's not just about, like, trying new restaurants or going on exotic vacations.
Right.
It's more about, like, supporting each other's personal growth, expanding your horizons together,
Exactly.
finding new ways to connect.
Yeah, like learning a new skill together,
Uh-huh.
maybe taking a class, volunteering, or even just having those deep conversations that really challenge your perspective.
I like that.
Yeah.
That shared purpose, like you're building this world together.
Yeah, and there's always something new to discover.
And that can help, prevent boredom and stagnation.
Exactly.
So we've talked about connection and growth.
Yes.
Are you ready to move on to the last one from the article? This whole respect thing.
Let's do it.
Okay, this is where it gets interesting.
All right.
The article claims that women can't cheat on a man they truly admire,
Okay.
and that when respect goes, attraction goes.
Hmm.
Now, I know this article is kind of geared towards a male audience, but do you think there's any truth to the idea that respect is essential for attraction in any relationship?
Respect is absolutely fundamental
Oh.
to any healthy connection.
Right.
It's about valuing your partner,
Yeah.
their thoughts, feelings, and boundaries.
Right.
And when respect is missing, it really creates an imbalance
It does.
that can just erode the whole foundation of the relationship.
So how does that then tie back to infidelity?
Well, if you don't respect your partner, you're not going to prioritize their needs and feelings.
Right.
You're more likely to dismiss their concerns, disregard their boundaries, and maybe even engage in behaviors that, would hurt them.
Yeah, and that just breeds resentment and anger
Mhm.
and a disconnect,
Yeah,
which could lead someone to stray.
exactly.
So the article then goes on to say that setting boundaries and not being needy is important for maintaining respect.
Hmm.
I'm a little torn on that one.
Yeah,
Boundaries are important,
of course.
but saying it's to avoid being needy just seems a bit harsh.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think it's important to have that healthy interdependence,
Right.
not codependence.
Right, so there's a difference.
Definitely.
It's like finding that sweet spot where you can be vulnerable,
Yes.
ask for your needs to be met,
Mm-hmm.
but without giving up who you are.
Exactly. It's about maintaining that sense of self.
So it's about balance.
It is.
Like a dance.
Yes, it's a beautiful dance.
So we've now talked about emotional fulfillment, this need for growth and adventure
Yes.
and respect.
Yeah.
What's interesting to me is that the article frames it in a gender-specific way.
Yeah.
But really, these things apply to any relationship.
I think that's a really valuable takeaway.
Yeah.
We went beyond this clickbaity title
Uh-huh.
and found some universal truth about relationships.
I'm excited to see what else we can discover.
Me too. Let's keep going. It's interesting how this article is so focused on preventing cheating.
Yeah, like it's this big, scary thing.
Right, like it's a threat you have to constantly guard against.
Exactly. It's like this weird game.
Yeah, like you're always trying to outsmart the other person.
Instead of just like enjoying the relationship.
Right. What if we thought about it differently?
Okay, how?
Instead of trying to prevent cheating, what if we focused on what makes relationships thrive?
I like that. Let's talk about what makes relationships strong.
What makes people truly want to stay together?
Yeah, not because they feel obligated.
Exactly, but because they're happy and connected.
We already talked about a few things, right?
Yeah, like emotional connection,
Mutual respect.
that sense of adventure.
Those are all good starting points.
But there's more. What else makes love last?
Communication has to be up there.
Oh, absolutely.
Being able to be open and honest
Yeah, sharing your deepest thoughts and feelings.
without feeling judged.
Exactly. That's so important.
It's easier said than done, though, right?
It takes work, for sure.
Sometimes you just get defensive,
I know, it's a natural reaction.
or you jump to conclusions.
Instead of really listening,
Yeah, that's a hard one.
it's a skill you have to practice.
What about shared values?
That's a big one.
Like being on the same page about the important things.
Exactly. Family, career goals,
Where you want to live.
how you spend your time together.
Those things matter in the long run.
You don't have to be exactly the same.
Right? You can have different hobbies.
But you need that shared vision for the future.
It's like you're building a dream together.
Exactly, brick by brick.
And when things get tough,
You have that foundation.
That shared purpose.
Yeah, and that feeling of teamwork.
Like your partners.
Facing challenges side by side.
Supporting each other.
Through the ups and downs.
There's power in that.
Yeah, that we're in this together feeling.
It's not just about grand gestures.
Right, it's the everyday things, too.
Helping with chores.
Making decisions together.
Being there to listen.
Those small things really build connection.
It's recognizing that you're both contributing.
Exactly, you're a team.
And we can't forget about fun.
Oh, that's crucial.
Relationships should be enjoyable, right?
Absolutely. Laughter, playfulness.
Making time for shared experiences.
Things that bring you joy.
Life can get so serious sometimes.
It's easy to get caught up in the stress.
We need to remember to have fun.
Like when you first started dating.
Everything was so exciting.
That's the energy we want to keep alive.
So communication, shared values, teamwork, fun.
I think we're missing one more.
Really? What is it?
Healthy conflict.
Wait, conflict?
I know, it sounds counterintuitive.
Most people think conflict is bad.
It's not about arguing all the time.
Okay, that makes sense.
But being able to disagree respectfully.
Yeah.
Expressing your needs, even when it's hard.
That's important.
Working through disagreements together.
That shows you're both invested.
Right, you care enough to make things work.
So it's not about avoiding conflict altogether.
Exactly, it's about how you handle it.
Like fighting fair.
Yeah, you have to communicate.
And find solutions together.
It's like building a house.
If the foundation is shaky,
it will eventually crumble.
So you have to address the issues head on.
Be open and honest.
And work as a team.
Exactly. Then you can build something strong.
Something that can weather any storm.
You got it.
So, healthy conflict.
It's a sign of a strong relationship.
You're willing to have those tough conversations.
Because you want to make it work.
So we've got a good list of ingredients here.
Yeah, for a healthy, happy relationship.
Open communication, shared values.
Teamwork, fun, healthy conflict.
It's like a recipe.
And just like any recipe, you need good ingredients.
And you have to combine them in the right way.
Exactly. That's the key.
And we have to remember.
What's that?
There's no such thing as a perfect relationship.
Of course not. Everyone has their challenges.
But if you have these core ingredients,
you're setting yourself up for success.
It's a good foundation.
It is.
This is so different from that article we started with.
I know. It's a totally different perspective.
Instead of focusing on what can go wrong.
We're talking about what makes love last.
And it feels a lot more empowering.
Absolutely. It's about what we can do.
Not what we should avoid.
Exactly. It's a more positive approach.
Like we're building something beautiful.
Yes, instead of living in fear.
It's about abundance, not scarcity.
That's a great way to put it.
I'm really glad we had this conversation.
Me too. It's been really insightful.
I feel like there's still more to uncover, though.
Oh, definitely.
We've just scratched the surface.
There's always more to learn.
About love and relationships.
It's a lifelong journey.
Well, then let's keep exploring, shall we?
I'm ready for the next layer.
So we started off talking about all the reasons someone might cheat.
Right.
And now we're talking about what makes a relationship strong.
Yeah, it's like a complete 180.
It is. We went from like worrying about things falling apart to like celebrating what makes love last.
And I think that's a much healthier way to look at it.
It is. It's more about like possibility instead of fear.
Exactly. Focusing on the good stuff.
And that brings us to this idea of resilience.
That's an important one.
Because like you said, every relationship is going to have challenges.
Oh, for sure. Life happens.
Yeah. Things change. People change.
It's about how you handle those changes together.
So how can couples build that kind of resilience?
Well, a lot of it goes back to what we've already talked about.
Okay. Like what?
Communication, trust, respect.
Right. The foundation.
But there's also this element of self-awareness.
Okay.
And emotional intelligence.
You keep mentioning those.
They're really important.
I know, but what do they actually look like in a relationship?
So self-awareness is being able to recognize your own patterns.
Yeah.
Like what triggers you, how you react to things.
So you're not just blaming your partner when things go wrong.
Right. It's about taking responsibility for your own stuff.
Yeah, like owning your part in things.
And being willing to apologize when you mess up.
That's a big one.
It is, and emotional intelligence kind of goes hand in hand with that.
How so?
It's about being able to understand your partner's perspective.
Even if you don't agree with them.
Exactly, having that empathy.
It's like remembering that you both have your own experiences and baggage.
Yeah, you're two separate people.
And sometimes those differences can cause friction.
But it's how you handle those differences that matters.
So it's not about being the same.
No, it's about understanding and accepting each other.
It's like learning to speak each other's love language.
Ooh, I like that analogy.
Right. We all express and receive love differently.
And when you know how to speak your partner's language,
It just makes everything smoother.
yeah, it makes you feel seen and understood.
It's like you're really connecting on a deeper level.
It's about meeting each other where you are.
This is all making so much sense.
I'm glad.
But sometimes this stuff can feel overwhelming.
Yeah, I get it.
Like, how do you actually learn to be more self-aware and emotionally intelligent?
Well, therapy can be really helpful. A
Right.
good therapist can give you the tools and support you need.
What if therapy is not an option?
There are other ways.
Like what?
There are books, podcasts, online resources, even just taking a moment to pause
Okay.
before you react to something.
That's so hard, though.
I know, but it's important to try.
It's so easy to get caught up in your own emotion.
I know, but try to see things from your partner's perspective.
Like, take a step back.
Yeah, and remember, you're on the same team.
We've talked a lot about the work involved in relationships,
It is work.
but it's good work, right?
It is. It's worth it.
When you see the results,
It's so rewarding.
having that deep connection with someone,
Feeling loved and supported.
knowing you can be yourself, flaws and all,
That's what it's all about.
and it's that feeling, that connection, that makes it all worthwhile.
Absolutely.
It's like creating a safe haven,
Yeah, where you can both be your true selves.
and that's bigger than just avoiding cheating.
Right. It's about building a life together.
A life full of love and laughter.
An adventure and that sense of belonging.
You know, it's like that saying, the grass is greener where you water it.
I love that.
If you're putting in the effort,
Nurturing your relationship.
you won't even be tempted to look elsewhere.
Exactly. You'll be too busy enjoying your own beautiful garden.
So it's about making that choice every day
To show up for your partner.
to communicate, to work through challenges.
And to never stop growing together.
We started with this article about infidelity,
Yeah, it was a bit simplistic.
and we ended up exploring so much more.
I know. It's amazing how these conversations evolve.
It's all about being curious, being open,
And remembering that relationships are a journey.
with its ups and downs.
But when you face them together.
You come out stronger on the other side.
So, what have we learned today?
That love isn't about avoiding heartbreak.
It's about creating something amazing.
Something that makes all the work worthwhile
And remember, you have the power to do that.
in your own relationships.
Whether it's with a partner, a friend, or even yourself.
So go out there and water your own grass.
Make it the greenest, most beautiful garden you can.
Thanks for listening.